in this edition of Insight. The Emerald Regiment takes to the field and percussion ramps up for another season. We'll lace up our shoes in preparation for the awareness walk with the Bear of St. Mary's. And Keith Hembelman is back with some amazing images from the recent solar eclipse. All that and more tonight on Insight. You know them as the Emerald Regiment. The Riggs High School Marching Band does more than just march in the homecoming parade. These are some very hard-working, talented students that provide the music behind every home game. Associate producer Justin Jensen went behind the scenes to tell us more about the Emerald Regiment. Tell me a little bit about the band program here at Riggs High School.
Sure. So the band program at Riggs consists of two concert bands. We have concert band and symphonic band. Concert band is whoever wants to be in band and work. Symphonic band is an auditioned-only group. We also have the Emerald Regiment, which is the marching band and pep band. We have 1 to 2 jazz bands, depending on the year. This year we will also have a musical pit for the musical and a drum line, the percussion drum line.
A lot of people have heard of the drum line. We're going to visit with them specifically here in just a few minutes, but fall is it's back to school for everyone, but it's really back to practice, back to a lot of field work and marching competition and everything else. Tell me a little bit about kicking things off here, what you've been doing over the summer, because it doesn't all come together on the first day of school.
I wish. It actually started last year. I was choosing what we wanted our music to be. So at the end of the year, I picked the overall theme. Then over the summer, I wrote the drill and I separated the parts for all of the students, contacted them to make sure they were still on the roster, getting things started there. We had a camp the week before school for 3 days, about 5 hours each, where we worked on the music and the drill so that we could get ahead of the game. We had practice starting the second day of school at 7 a.m. Lucky kids. And we have it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday every week at 7 a.m. as we are preparing. We are well ahead of what I think we've been in previous years, and the show's looking great. The kids are very excited about it, but it definitely started last year.
Marching camp consists of playing through the music, getting to know your band, getting to learn all your your different, like say I'm a clarinet, I get to learn all my other incoming freshmen, sophomore that really I haven't played with in symphonic band. And then you start, outside, you start on the field, you march, you get to learn all the techniques this year, all the drills, and that's basically what marching is. That's what it consists of, is the drill and the show. You just learn all the elements of that and how to do it.
The drill is going along really well. We made a lot of progress during our summer camp. The freshmen especially are picking up really fast, which is nice. We almost have the music put to it, and we're not even a week into marching season, so that's really good. So the summer camp, what it is we come in for 3 days, we work on marching, the songs, just kind of get introduced to the drill, see where we are, how we're sitting with the basics of marching, how to do the basics of marching, roll stepping, positions. We changed a couple things with our positions, getting ready for the drill, getting acquainted with our new drum major, with Josie Slahaug, very good drum major. We made a lot of progress, and we come in, just get introduced with everything, kind of get our feet set on the ground, ready for marching season.
Yeah, so I'm drum major, and I don't play while we march, but I help direct people, help the new people kind of figure out what's going on with marching, help people find their spots, adjust lines, little tasks here and there, and also pretty much just help Miss McKeithan with whatever she wants.
Tell me a little bit about how you select the music, because when we talk with the students, the music they perform and they play, that's very important to the enjoyment that they get out of it every year, but how do you pick the right music?
I wish I had a formula. I do a lot of listening, and I try to think of what the skill set is of the upcoming students or the students that I already have. What's nice about being in my 5th year is I know what I've taught them, and I know what they are capable of. I know how far I can push them. So I like to pick, for marching band specifically, and pep band, songs that they might recognize and know. So for example, we were playing Star Wars and they know that song, and something that they might not know. And some directors called that the borrowed piece of music or the classic. So for example, we are playing something from Gustav Holst's The Planets, something students might not be familiar with, so it's going to be educational for them as far as widening their horizons. As far as for the school year, I really just think of what my overall goals are for the students. So what do I want them to learn? How much can I push them? What do I want to push them to learn? It's definitely a fine line because you want students to experience success, but you also want them to learn something new. So sometimes I have kids in my office and I say, hey, listen to this. What do you think of this song? And sometimes they absolutely love it, and sometimes they give me a look like, what are you thinking? So surprisingly or not surprisingly, these kids have grown to love some of the classics over the years. So I'm very lucky in that sense that they don't get bored. They find it a challenge and they find it new and exciting.
I would say that my favorite song is probably Rotten Eggs, just because it has a really cool beat and I like the groove that goes along with it.
I think my favorite song is Star Wars, just because it's really like intense in the percussion part. Like it's always fun when we get to do a song that like has some funky rhythms in there, because like it's a lot more work to prepare, but it's more fun to play.
Oof. I think I'm gonna go that Also Sprach is my favorite song for the marching show. I think that it's a very, it's a good song to march to, for one, and it's a very almost uplifting type of tune, and it's very recognizable.
How important a role is a middle school music program to what you're able to do here at the high school level?
Beyond crucial. Having a strong middle school program is everything for a high school. They are the feeder program. They teach all the fundamentals beyond what they learn in elementary. Middle school is so crucial for students to find where they fit in and what it is that they love to do. And a middle school band program can make or break a student's love for music. So having the right person at the middle school that is exciting and knowledgeable is incredibly important. And then being able to go to the middle school with my students and myself to just show our faces and show them we're not scary at the high school, please come and join us, is also very important. I like to think of it more as a 6 through 12 program than middle school and high school, because I think that we need to be one program.
I'm having a good time. I think it's kind of the same, only because we're like 3 days into it, but it definitely is more advanced than middle school. She doesn't make them feel awkward in here. Like, I walked in my first day and I had no idea what I was doing, and she helped me when I needed it. She didn't make me feel awkward. She's not as intimidating as everybody thinks she is, especially once you be with her more and more.
She made me way more confident when I first got here, because when I first got here, I was the quiet person who kind of sat in the corner, wasn't outgoing, didn't really talk to people. And then she got me to crack out of my shell very slowly, but it happened. And yeah, and with everything that she's done for me and all the extra work that she's put in to help me become better, it worked me up to first chair clarinet. So all of the extra work that she puts in rubs off on us and then makes us want to put in that extra work.
One of the toughest things that any band director ever does, I'm told, is try to teach drummers and percussionists. They're universally difficult to work with. That's what I was told, at least, but what's your experience? We seem to have an awfully good drum line.
They are some of the hardest working students you will come across. I think that the reason they get that reputation. Yes, they get that reputation because they sit in the back of the room. And so it's easy, if you're not watching them as far as classroom management, it's easy for them to start messing with this percussive instrument and start messing with this one. And they have a bad reputation. I don't know why, but my students are some of the highest achieving students you will come across in this drum line. I have people like Arden Kennecke, Senior, involved in absolutely everything she can be, and she excels in all of it. I have Claire Hussey, who goes to a drumline camp every year, and they help run the drumline. Arden's the center snare, so she's kind of the captain, and Claire has so much knowledge that she helps run it. And incoming freshmen, they are scared out of their minds, but because they put their minds to it, they become very high achieving. So I would say once they have the fundamentals that they learn at the middle school, it's really easy for me to just kind of clean things up and keep them going.
In the days of the drummer, back 20, 30 years ago, that was all they learned, but that changed here, 90s, 2000, somewhere in there, where no, they've got to know music and read music, study piano. They've got to be legit musicians.
I like to call them percussionists, not drummers, and I do make that correction when people say, oh, well, I want to be a drummer. No, you want to be a percussionist. When I first came in, I had some percussionists that couldn't read music, and that's okay, because I said, I will sit down, I will teach you rhythms and music. And they were the ones I always assigned mallet parts to. They hated it. It drove them crazy, but they left better musicians for it. And because they stuck with it, they left better people.
This actually has a story behind it. This dates all the way back to when I was small and I would watch homecoming parades that the band was in. I remember the band would go by and I could like feel the bass drum like in my chest. I could feel it like resonate in there, and I was like, that's cool, I'm gonna do that someday. And obviously, like, I'm not bass drum, but I'm still in percussion, so I auditioned when I was in 5th grade, and then I made it, and I've just kind of been doing it ever since.
For me, the audition process was pretty simple. We went in, we played a piano solo. You could pick, whatever your favorite piano piece was. You had to have at least 2 years of piano experience prior to that, though. And then you had to do some sight reading, rhythm type thing, which was pretty simple. For me, you just had to tap your foot and then clap the rhythms. And then the last part of the audition was the mallet sight reading. And honestly, again, if you took piano and you know the treble clef, that was a very simple thing. So for me, the only really preparation I did was picking out a piano piece and, practicing it a couple times just to make sure I was familiar with it.
One of the things that you do throughout the year is fundraising. Yes. We need to be able to provide a good experience for our students. I know you travel as well to music concerts and events, and the Chicago trip is a big motivator for students. Every couple of years they take a field trip, and it's not cheap, but it's also very, very rewarding, and they pick up so much out of it educationally. But tell me a little bit about the ways that people can help support the Emerald Regiment, help support the Riggs Band, and the work that they do throughout the year.
So we have a couple of fundraisers, such as Red Wheel Frozen Foods. So if you're a busy person that doesn't have time to cook for yourself, they sell frozen foods. Every other year or so, we do something called the Great American Fundraiser, and they're fun little gifts for Christmas, for Valentine's Day. We also have our indoor marching show. It's $5 per person, and you get to come in and watch us play through our music and just kind of close out the season. This year it's October 5th, the day before our very first competition. We also take free will donations, honestly, who doesn't? We have something called the Family Fall Fun Night that we are having the day before Halloween. And that is a safe alternative to trick-or-treating. If you want to bring your kids, we will have like a cakewalk and face painting and just kind of a fun time to hang out. We do a big band dance in April, which is a evening of jazz and dancing. It's got free popcorn and pop, and it's $5 per person. And this year, we just released a logo at the end of last year that the community voted on. And so this year we are thinking of creating merchandise that people could purchase and help out the band. Because yes, the costs are very great. We do have to charter 1 to 2 buses every time we go on a trip. So that's definitely where a lot of costs go, and purchasing music for all of these events. So it would be very helpful.
And of course, anyone can show their support of the band at home games, anytime they see the band performing. That round of applause is so rewarding to the students that go by.
Yeah, it's whenever it happens. My kids have yet to get sick of it. Every time it happens, even the seniors look at me and go, oh, did you hear that? They're clapping for us. And I know sometimes it's the only opportunity people have to see the band, and so we try to perform our absolute best. But everyone's welcome to our concerts. They are generally free to the public.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your hard work, and all the best this fall.
Thank you so much.
I love Miss McKeithan. She's been my band teacher all 4 years. She makes band fun and exciting, and she's super flexible with your schedule. So if you have another event going on, she's able to work around that.
Marching season is very stressful for all of us, especially for Miss McKeithan. She puts in a lot of time. She definitely tries to make it as enjoyable as possible, which I'm sure we all appreciate. We definitely never say thank you enough to her. She puts everything she can into marching season, and I specifically appreciate that. I'm sure others do as well. She's a great inspiration. She definitely pushes us to do our best in the marching show, and she encourages us to try even if we know that we can't do it. She has this motto, if you say you can't, you can. Just try. and you're going to get to the point where you can. Can't's not in her vocabulary.
She's just really gone the extra mile for me throughout my high school career, really. And now I'm just really happy and fortunate to have the opportunity to stand beside her and really help to work to get the band where we both want to see it go.
A sporting event without good music is kind of like going to the movies without popcorn. It just isn't the same. So when the students march by in the Emerald Regiment, give them a hand. They really appreciate your support.